Hey fellow YouTubers, hey, Roland Martin here, and today I'm going to show you how to launch a boat all by yourself and how to prepare for a great day on the water. You know, a couple of weeks ago I did a little video, and it was I looked on all the comments that I did, and the video was on how to prepare for a day on the water. And I talked about the pliers, and I talked about President Bush's little deal with getting hooked, and I talked about the super glue and how Mel Tillis's tooth was a big deal. And anyway, I had those things to even talk about it again, but I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about additional things like safety equipment, like sunscreens, and like things like that we have to really kind of talk about. But first, before I launch, I got to get the boat ready. Now it's tied down on the trailer with the front straps, the back straps, and also the bar for the motor. So let's get those off first. Okay, the first thing I do is just loosen up my winch. Get it. I'm going to take the winch off, the winch cable completely off here, and I'll tell you why. Because I have a rope here tied to this thing. This rope is tied, and I'll show you. It's a 25-foot rope. It's tied to the winch. It's tied to the boat. Okay, let's go to the back of the boat, and I'm going to show you what I have to do next. The boat is tied down by a series of straps, and these are a legal requirement by the state of Florida to have tie-down straps as well. So you have the tie-down strap situation to remove, and also you have what we call a motor toter. Let's see if I can get this off. Okay. The motor toter is this little deal right here, and what I do is I pull this clip out right there. I pull the clip out, jack the motor up. Now, a case in point, there's another boat coming to launch.
Make sure you put the plug and don't sink it.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, boss?
Hey, so what I did, I purposely moved away from the launch ramp. He's going to go launch right now in the same canal, but I don't want to tie up the launch ramp. I got things to do and things to show you. So I'm off to the side, waiting him. I'm just going to allow him to go ahead and launch, and by the time I'm ready, then he'll be out of the way. Okay. Okay, folks, this is my heritage boat. This is that really great tracker marine boat that came out 2 years ago. It was only a list of $9,995. It was a real sensational price. I kind of tricked it out, and I did another video back about 6 or 8 months ago where I showed you all the upgrades I did to trick this boat out. Things like that jack plate, that Bob's jack plate. That's really a big deal. Things like this power pole that I'm fixing to rig up right now. This is the power pole situation where I stick the power pole in, and then with this button, I take this button right here and I go down with it. The whole thing goes down, hits the bottom and anchors the boat, or it goes back up. So that's my power pole addition. Addition to, number 3 is this cavitation plate on the motor. This is a 40 horsepower 4-stroke motor, but this cavitation plate allows you to more efficiency in shallow water, lets you get up in shallow water. And then again, I put an additional 4-bladed stainless steel prop on. That's a real upgrade because it's a lot tougher, and it cuts the water and bites the water a lot better. Okay, the boat comes with just one depth finder, but in my upgrade, I put a second depth finder on here. And not only was it just a depth finder, it's with this Bob's jack plate. They have some systems here for really making it a solid deal. This is just a brand new transducer that's mounted on this trolling motor. The trolling motor comes with the boat, but I've put a transducer on the trolling motor to run the depth finder. Now, by the way, that's the old Roland Martin weedless wedge per prop. I designed this some 30 years ago, and they still use it today on all the Minn Kota trolling motors. Okay, that's just a few of the upgrades. Okay. What about safety equipment? There's a whole lot of safety equipment I don't know if you're aware of that's required to have. Let's look at it. Now, I'm sure you know that where everyone's required to have a life vest is in a boat on the water. Okay, that's a gimme. That's a given thing. Okay. In addition to this life vest, looking over at the switch, at the key switch real quick, you see that cord, that red cord? That's a kill switch. So then when I start the engine up and have it tied to my life vest, if I should fall out of the boat or lose control of the boat, that cord will pull and the engine will shut off. So that's a kill switch. That's a really, really good safety feature. Okay, required by the state of Florida, a couple things. You need a paddle. This isn't much of a paddle. It doesn't have to be a real super paddle. It's kind of bent and everything else, but it's a paddle. And it works and it's legal, okay? Second thing, I don't know if you knew this, but the state of Florida and many states require a throwable device. This is a seat cushion, and it's a certified Coast Guard approved seat cushion, and it has 25 feet of floatable line. And that's a requirement, a safety requirement that a lot of people don't realize that they have to have. A throwable device with 25 feet of line. Throwable floating device. Okay. Fire extinguisher. Now, here's where they get you when they stop you. They check that gauge right here. This gauge is above full. See, it's above the, so it's in the charge or overcharge deal. So it's perfectly good. It's got the seal on there. All I have to do is break the seal, pull the pin, and I got a perfectly charged fire extinguisher. And they will check this, and they will check to see if that gauge is in the right position, or you could get a ticket. Okay. Now, some of the other things, I have a good shaded hat. What about sunglasses? You know, these are the Flying Fisherman series, and these are polarized. And I'm going to tell you, when you're boating on a water, it's not only are you looking for fish, but I'm looking for shallow water areas. I can run along the flats in the saltwater flats, and I can tell about how deep it is just by having these polarized sunglasses on and seeing the color of the water. The color of the water is an indication of how deep the water is. That's really, really important to have polarized sunglasses. In this case, the Flying Fisherman is just a good value. Okay. Now, I talked about a couple other things before we get started. You know, before I was talking about having super glue available. I'm always working with super glue all the time. I told you about Mel Tillis's tooth. That was kind of cool. But I use it for guides on the rod, and I use it for a lot of things around the boat. And you have to have a pocket knife. I mean, a pocket knife is just essential. There's a million things you have to have and do with a pocket knife. And then, of course, you all loved this story a couple weeks ago when I talked about President Bush's hooked hand. He had a rattle trap in his hand. I had to get it out with these pliers. Well, pliers like this. So pliers are really, really a big deal. And those little stories that I gave, little anecdotes, I call them, are precious. And I know you guys said, hey, we want more stories. So I'll try to think of a story or two for you. Now, the last thing that's really, really important is some kind of communications. Now, I'm down here in the Everglades, and I'm liable to be 10, 15 miles out in the boonies, and something might happen. I might run out of gas. Oh, by the way, I've checked my gas. That's another thing I've done. I've checked my gas, and I've also checked my battery. I use Marine Master by Decca. It's a really big battery. It's an AGM battery. That's an advanced glass mat battery. It's very, very, very sophisticated, good battery. And so I've had 2 good batteries back there, and I've checked them, and I have a full tank of gas. So yeah, I'm ready to go. But in some cases, you might break down for some reason or other. You need communications, and I have a good cell phone for that as well. Plus, the cell phone has GPS functions. My GPS up front in my boat has a GPS, and I can tell where I'm going from that. But if that breaks down or whatever, at least I have a map system on my phone. Okay, so that's just a few things. Okay, the last thing I have up on the console, if you notice, is a first aid kit. I have a first aid kit just for hooks and scrapes and bruises and things like that. Anything major, of course, I'd go to the hospital, but I can take care of a lot of stuff just with the first aid kit. Okay, what else do we have to do? Now, another thing that I've prepared for today, and that is the change of the weather. This is summertime, and there's afternoon thunderstorms, so I have my frog togs. Frog togs are all packed away in a boat. You never know when it's going to rain. I'm going to pull around to the boat dock as soon as he's out of the way. He's already out of the way. And now, with this rope that I have tied here, I'm just going to go ahead and launch the boat into the water all by myself, and this rope will just play out, and the boat will just float out in the water. And I'll pull the car up just a couple feet, and boom, voila, I'm launched, and I'll pull the boat back into shore. So let's get started. Well, folks, here we are ready to launch the boat, and just as I was getting ready to do it, a little thunderstorm came up, and I had to wait a few minutes, but we're back at the ramp. And the first thing I got to do before I actually put it in the water is to make sure my engine's going to run. I mean, I already started it up, so I know that it's in good shape. I put it in neutral, and I'll just hit the key switch real quick. Sure enough, it's running good. Yeah, I tested it once. I just want to test it again. So I'm ready to go. I'm going to go ahead and make sure it's all ready to launch, and I'm going to just back it into the water and let it float off. Okay, let's go. Okay, boys, we're ready to go. Ready to rock and roll. Untie my rope real quick. Well, you only need about 25 feet is all I use. Some really nice facilities. I live down here in Collier County, Florida, and they have some really nice little launch ramps and a lot of these canal systems and parts of the Everglades. But it's not hard to do. If you have the right safety equipment, it's not a big deal. I want to go ahead and enjoy a good day on the water. So folks, I've hoped that I've showed you how to launch a boat without any help, and I've showed you how to get the boat all prepared and the necessary equipment, particularly safety equipment that you need in all states, whether it's Florida or just all around the nation, and just how to have a good, safe, productive day on the water. So listen, I post on this YouTube channel, hey, every Wednesday about 6 o'clock and every Sunday about 6 o'clock, and I really appreciate you watching. It's just a great thing for me. I'm an old school teacher. I love teaching you a few things if I can, and I love telling you a few stories. I didn't tell you many stories today, but hey, they're going to be some good stories in times to come. So we'll see you again later. Thank you, sir.